Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and today is the day that we are going to get these two entrance beds to the nursery planted in the annuals. We're going to get them planted, we're going to get irrigation down on them, we're going to get them mulched. They are going to be complete by the end of this day. That is the goal. So if you remember, we were just here the last week where we planted the Chindo viburnums here, the Gibraltar azaleas, and then on the very end we did two groups of the sweet olives. Now you can see that the Gibraltars have already lost their blooms because when we planted them, they were already kind of going towards the end of their bloom cycle. Now they'll just turn a beautiful, nice green foliage on them. Will give us a gorgeous backdrop to the annuals that we are going to use. Now, what annuals are we going to use? Well, I'm just so glad you asked me. Let's just go ahead and flip the camera around here and let me show you exactly what we have. Jerry went ahead and grabbed the wagon. We have beautiful, huge pockets of color. So let's start with the big stuff and then we will work our way down to the smaller things. Now, we had talked about that we're going to add a little bit of a hedge of hydrangeas. So we are going to use the relatively new, it is the Quick Fire Fab Panicle Hydrangea. This will get taller than it is wide and give us those beautiful creamy white then to red blooms. So we're going to create a hedge of those. And then we've got grasses galore. We are going to use lots of the purple fountain grass. Now you might say, Jenny, this is not purple, this is still green. Well, that is correct, because this graceful grasses purple fountain grass requires UV light in order to get the purple color, the nice deep rich color to it. These have been in the greenhouse, which does have some UV protection, and so they are still green. As soon as they hit that UV light out here, they will darken up. I mean, just within, like in a week, they will be nice and deep dark purple. We're going to do mass groupings of these to give lots of color and interest. And then we're also going to use the annual of the year, which is Mr. Prince Tut grass. This is such a fun grass because it has those great little frilly tops on it. We'll get it and tall and wide. Remember, we also use this in the aqua pot. So here is Prince Tut. We're thinking about kind of intermingling like a group of the purple fountain grasses with the Prince Tut. Deep dark purple, more of an overflow look to it. This is very upright and nice and pretty and green. So that's going to be our really backdrop of all the color. Then, you know how much I do love my coleus. We're going to use Lime Time and Newly Noir. So you can see how we have such a beautiful color contrast with these two coleuses. By the end of the season, they will get nice and big and nice and wide. Again, color contrast and a different texture, big, huge leaves on them as compared to the grasses. So that is going to be in the next step. Then we're going to come on down here, and our main source of flowers as far as color is going to be these Sun Patience. This is the Sun Patience Compact Purple, and you can see they have not only beautiful flowers on them, but they have a darker foliage. That's going to be really fun. So there is a green, but it does have a hint of a little bit kind of that purple in the foliage. So we're going to use tons of those, along with on our border, on our edge, we're going to use the Proven Accents Silver Bullet Artemisia. Right here you can see how just the beautiful contrast between these plants. The Artemisia is low and wide and actually will be a perennial for us. If we want to leave it in the bed, we certainly can do that. And then one more plant. She's over here, we're gonna go over this way, is on the ground. We're going to use some of the Snow Princess. This is a great low growing ground cover that's nice and vigorous. You can see these first two trays, they had gotten a little wild and woolly, kind of like the ones in the back. So we trimmed them back. So don't ever be afraid to trim back your alyssum, but the Snow Princess will give us a carpet of white and nice and low, but a huge spreader. I think it can spread up to like 2 feet wide. So that again will be a nice different kind of texture and color in these 2 beds. I will go ahead and tell you that it is like 7:15 in the morning. The nursery is open. We're going to try to get this done as fast as we can. When we were getting ready to come out here, the sun was out, and then all of a sudden it just turned really dark. So we're hoping that a thunderstorm does not come upon us. So we are going to move with purpose on this flower bed. Jerry is working with me. Maybe later on, with some folks get here, some of our employees they may jump in to help us a little bit. But we're going to work as a team, auging and putting plants in, the layout and everything. So y'all just sit back, watch us kind of figure out what the design is going to be and start getting these in the ground, and then I'll check back with you in just a little bit and give you a little bit of an update. right, my friends, the project is 100% completely finished. It is fantastic. We are so excited about these 2 beds. They are doing wonderful. There goes Jackson, who was helping us and then was so hot he decided to go ahead and go swimming in the creek. So he's gonna go home and put on some dry clothes. Nothing like swimming in the creek or playing in the creek as a kid. It's great. Anyway, I digress. The beds are absolutely done and look fantastic. Let me flip the camera around. Let me just sit here and show you exactly what we did. So you can see that here we are on the smaller of the 2 beds. There's a Carolina Sapphire right there and the Popcorn Viburnums. So on this bed, of course, it was the second one that we did, and so I was running out of my purple fountain grasses, and I put them more in front of the green box over here. So the Prince Tuts are dotted through in the back along with the Coleus. So my Coleus and my Prince Tut and the grasses are going to be my tallest, and then we came in with all of those beautiful sun patients and we planted them in mass. So remember, this is the entrance to the nursery. There's the barn right behind it that you can see, and we want to make a big, huge show. So we planted massive numbers of these, and look how wonderful that silver bullet Artemisia looks popping up on the front of the border. Will fill in nice and thick and just do great. It is an absolutely gorgeous color contrast between the silver bullet and those sun patients. Fantastic. You will see we have 2 little pockets on this bed of the Snow Princess. They can spread up to 2 feet wide, so we'll get nice coverage on them. And we really did sock the irrigation to both of these beds. Throughout both of these beds, we really did lay the irrigation down heavy. Typically, I am more sparse on my irrigation, but these are all annuals. These are definite water lovers, especially my grasses and my Coleus and my impatiens. They can handle a good bit of water. So we have the irrigation running through there. It has the emitters every 12 inches. The rate on that is 1 gallon per hour. So Jerry has it running right now for an hour so that we can really saturate this ground and really give these plants a nice healthy start, because today is going to be like 95. I think tomorrow's 94, 95 again. And you can see that we're already in the shade here. So it does get, when the sun pops up, it's in the sun. It is definitely in the sun for those 5 to 6 hours. It is considered a full sun bed, but it does get a break from the afternoon, so that will certainly help. Now, we will not run this irrigation for an hour every single time. We're just doing it now because this is brand new plants. The ground was very dry when we were planting and auging all those holes, and so it definitely needs a good bit of water right now. And as we make our way to the other bed, you will notice that we used compost here as our mulch. So we had we're running low on mulch, so there's that. And then we had a good bit of our bulk compost on hand. And this soil definitely needs some love, because if you look right over here, this is what basically we planted in. So we needed to add some amendments. So this compost will do a great job of, 1, retaining moisture, and then as it breaks down, it will enhance the soil and provide a nice growing space for these plants. It will take a couple of years of us doing this to really enrich the soil, but you've got to start somewhere. So here we go. Those are the purple fountain grasses. Put a lot of lime thyme in front of that box to hide it. The Newly Noor is kind of circling around the Prince Tuts. And then you will notice that we did put a little bit of rocks right here. This is where the irrigation connects. This is more about, honestly, for us to remember where the irrigation is so that we don't start drilling right there. And what Jerry's gonna do on the other side is bring the gravel down. So we'll have all this in gravel because this does wash kind of easily if we get some gully washers. So we're going to kind of shore this up with those rocks. Now, let's move on over here to the big Mama Jama bed. Alrighty, here we go. So if you're coming and you're getting ready to go across the culvert, you will see the other bed to the left, and then this big bed is to the right. Again, we added rocks here. Now, this was more of keeping cars and delivery trucks out of the flower beds, because sometimes people are not very aware of flower beds and they drive right in them. Hopefully this is a nice deterrent for folks not to drive too close to the edge of the bed. So we've got in here those same plants that are repeated, and you will notice that, of course, in the back we used the mulch because we had mulched those all of the shrubs earlier. And then what I did is I did mass groupings really of the plants, and the idea is that these plants are going to grow together. So here we have 5 coleus. This is the lime thyme. As they grow, they're going to look like one huge massive lime thyme. Same thing with the purple fountain grasses. Relatively close together on irrigation, they will grow really well, and with the Prince Tuts. So you can see through here that I alternated. The purple fountain grasses tend to be a little bit more in the back with the Prince Tuts in the front, but we have that staggered effect to them. And I do have plenty of space between the shrubs and the grasses just to give a little bit of a buffer if we needed to get in here and do something. So we repeated that nice big groups with the Newly Noir. You can see they're in groups of 5. So the coleuses are all in groups of 5. The grasses are in groups of 3. And then we did the Snow Princess in groups of 3 as well. And then just filled it in massively all the way down with the Sun Patience, a nice little ribbon of that. We start out skinny and we work our way down and it gets wider. Now, I know that some of y'all are going to see that some of these impatiens are on the struggle bus. This definitely is the spot that gets more sun. So they're in a little bit of a shock. We have that irrigation going. They will bounce back and they will be fine. So a good rule of thumb when you're trying to figure out about how to really water your plants is really simple, in the fact that if your plants are limpy, wilting during the heat of the day, sometimes they're dry and sometimes it's called heat wilt. They're just hot. They're like me right now. I'm soaked to the bone in sweat. I am wilting because it's hot. Once I go inside and cool down, then I perk back up. I'm fine. Same thing with these plants. Not necessarily that they need water, it's just they're hot and they just need to cool down a little bit. Once they cool down, they perk up. Now, tomorrow morning, if I come back here and they are still very limp and shriveled up, then that says I need water. So I will make sure and really saturate those holes. If for some reason the irrigation is not hitting that one particularly really well right now, then I need to go back and take care of it. Otherwise, that plant's going to be dead by tomorrow afternoon because we are in lots of heat right now. So that's just a kind of a good rule of thumb. Hydrangeas are particularly bad about heat wilt in the summertime. Heat of the day, normally in the afternoon, they'll get kind of limpy as soon as the sun's off of them and they will perk back up. But if they're still limpy in the morning, then you need to give them some water. So that was my little gardening tip for the day. And then as we move on down here, you can see we have the Artemisia. I mean, everything's just repeated. The same plants repeated multiple times to tie in for the whole space, both flower beds together, and using them in big blocks. If I had used a Newly Noir right here, and then I had used a lime thyme right there, they get lost. You don't see them. This is a massive space. We've got to really chock it full. And then coming on down, we have got the Quick Fire Fabs. They are in, I did them 7 of my feet apart. So roughly they are going to be 7 feet on center apart from each other, maybe a little bit closer. And then between each one, for some annual color, I did go ahead and put 2 of the purple fountain grasses, but we planted them as one. So we dug one really big hole and put 2 of the purple fountain grasses in there and just repeated that all the way down. Next year, I may not need those purple fountain grasses, but this year it certainly will fill in, and it ties in all of those, like the beds all together, because we have those same plants repeated all the way down. I can't tell you how excited and how good it feels to have this project done, because this was a massive project, a huge project from start to finish. We could not have done it today without our fantastic folks who work here at Creekside with us. So don't think that Jenny and Jerry were out here doing it by themselves. No, we had a whole team in order to get this done today, and so we are incredibly grateful to have them here, and many hands make light work for sure. But this is going to be a fantastic space. Of course, we'll keep you updated on this. You will see it in drone shots and all throughout the growing season. But this will take us all the way through, gosh, late fall. Until we have a hard freeze, these plants will do well. I will say too that when we were planting them, everybody got the hydrangeas were biotoned, and then all of the annuals did get a good application of the Proven Winners slow release fertilizer. So everybody got that. What I will do is I can start it pretty soon with my flowering, really all my annuals if I need to. Maybe not my grasses. I may do my grasses, I may not, just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But the water soluble fertilizer from Proven Winners, because that will really help make everything nice and green and produce flowers and color. So that will be the maintenance on it, because it is on irrigation. We'll have to kind of play with it as far as like how much, how often, for how long with that irrigation, because this is a brand new bed. We've never had irrigation in here. The bed's not new, the irrigation's new. So we'll have to just kind of play with it and figure it out. The plants will tell us how much they need, or if we're giving them too much. So we will certainly figure that out. But yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you've been inspired, hope you've learned something, and found it a little entertaining. As always, thanks for gardening with Creekside. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.